Welcome, everyone. This is Planet Mules, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the lasers in LOTRO and here are LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Sanswinda,
Hello.
Arendis,
Hey, everybody.
and Guerendis.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, we've got a light cast this week, but we do have a bit of news. Starting out with a note that Update 30 is expected to be released next week. They're going to hold their meeting on Monday to decide is everything ready for the green light, and if it is, we could expect a patch probably on Tuesday. But of course, things can always change if something goes wrong, because that's been known to happen on occasion. Right now, probably Tuesday or maybe Wednesday, we should be expecting a patch, which is going to be Update 30, The Blood of Azog. And also a little note is they have stated that due to privacy laws in the UK, private messages are going to be disabled on the forums in the near future.
Huh.
Yeah, because apparently there's a new law kicking in the United Kingdom that says that if there has to be a way to prevent unsolicited private messages from being sent. The version of the software that they have for the forums in Lotro does not support that in any way. They're hoping, of course, they've been trying for the last few years, hoping to be able to get a new forum system, ditch the old forums and come up with a new forum system. And they would expect anything like that will be able to have such abilities as I was just talking about there, that to prevent unsolicited private messages.
I'm just imagining what's going to happen if they don't have something by the time like the fundraiser happens in the fall, because that's how Cord contacts everybody to give them their stuff.
Ooh.
Yes, that is going to be a question of it, unless there's some special way around that particular one, seeing how that maybe Standing Stone Games would be exempt from it, and I think Cord is the only one who probably uses private messages. So I don't think, though, that there's an exemption for Cord's forum account, so I don't think that would be the case. But if there were, that would be one way around it, because
Well, but how would people let him know that they?
oh, well, yeah, you got a point there. He would have to be he would have to exempt himself from not receiving any, from the rules. If there was a way that he could turn it so that he would receive all private messages, because I think he gets more private messages than anyone else, even without the extra life stuff. So yes, it will make Cord's job a whole lot harder if there isn't some way around it on his end, because you're right, he uses that for quite a number of items. He'll probably have to create an email account for handling this or something like that.
Sam Burke in the chat suggested Twitch messages.
Well, that's another possibility, seeing how he runs his marathons and that like that on Twitch. Trouble is, not everyone has Twitch, because if everyone had Twitch, then he wouldn't be using 3 different platforms for when he does his weekly streams, because he does it on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook.
Guess we'll have to wait and see what happens, huh?
We'll see what he decides to do, assuming, of course, that we don't have new forms by then, but I get the very strong impression that the whole thing about a new form system is more of a long-term goal than anything that's gonna happen by the end of this year. And finally, there was a clarification that the landscape difficulty updates that we talked about last week It appears that these things are not being slated right now for the main servers, so they're not going to come up in update 30. What they're planned for is new for a new legendary server, and figure that it sounds like that later on this month at some point they might have some news about that. But right now, news about this new legendary server is soon. We could add the usual trademark at the end of that, and then they'll announce what this new server is all about and how it's different from the existing legendary servers. I don't know if this is supposed to be either the ISRon thing we talked about before, or if they ditched the ISRon idea and that this landscape difficulty setting is something that's to replace the ISRon thing, or what. But it looks like that the landscape difficulty updates are going to be premiering on that one. Probably going to see how well it works on this legendary server before they consider the possibility of bringing it into the main servers. So if you're really hoping for that, then we'll then I suggested maybe if you're a VIP that you could check out the new legendary server when that starts. As I said, maybe we'll get a announcement on that soon. And that's it for our game news in there, except for our beacon, and we have LOTRO Beacon issue number 207, where it looks like we've got a warg on the cover, probably in the Wildwood. This will probably be the last of the Wildwood ones because I'm sure next week is going to feature something from the Blood of Azog. So let's head into our community spotlight. This is your final weekend to enter the newest contest by Deco de Melu. You can learn more about this player-run housing contest on LOTRO forums. This, of course, means that if you are listening to the podcast version when it goes up on Monday, it's probably too late. I'm assuming when they said this is the final weekend, that means that it is ending on at the end of the weekend. Yeah, it is open till Sunday, June 6th at 11:59 p.m. server time. So yes, and we post the podcast version on Monday. So if you're listening to this on the podcast version, it's late on that. Linamar
But then,
presents.
sorry, Pineleaf, I just wanted to quickly interject. They're going to open the selected houses for voting from June 18th through June the 27th. So once they announce the 15 houses that they're going to be having in the actual contest, we can all go through and vote and go from there. So anyway, sorry, just wanted to throw that in there.
Oh yes, there is the voting phase also. You do have a point there because that's probably the most important thing to do. I'm sure the beacon will mention the voting phase in there next week so that we can remind you of it then.
I'm jumping the
Linamar
gun, sorry.
present.
Sorry, I was just saying I'm jumping the gun. Please go ahead. I'm going to be quiet now.
Yes, Linamar presents. I know. I know Linda Lee on Sunday on Laurelland, but of course, if you're listening to this live, or I think the YouTube version might get you. If you listen to that version, you might be able to hear that on time, and you see about that one. And if you're hearing this later, maybe they're going to have a post of maybe there's a stream of that you can see or something like that. Shirefest takes place with Crick Hollow between June 11th and 13th. So that is next weekend. You can get the full schedule and info over on the LOTRO forums. Lauren Lorian has created a LOTRO-themed newspaper. You could check that out over on Twitter. And Marathon is celebrating their YouTube channel anniversary and wants to invite you to visit. You can check out Marathon's anniversary video on YouTube. Ken Hall The Kinship Men of the Mark is keeping a journal of their role playing experience on the forum, including poems, stories, and songs. And the Sleeping Gatherers are hosting their first kinship event this Saturday starting at 7 p.m. Eastern on Gladden. Of course, that is 1 hour ago, so obviously that's you're not going to be seeing that, and the event is open to anyone who can time travel. That's the Right, and that's the Ken Hall. So there are actually 2 Ken Hall announcements on there. That's the tricky thing on announcing anything from the Ken Hall is if they're talking about something that's happening very soon, it might be a bit late when we see it. Weekly comment is, there's an old dwarf folk saying,
Never dig straight down.
There's no such thing as too deep.
well,
It's the
never
dwarf saying
dig
that.
straight down. That sounds like a Minecrafter saying.
I mean,
It had to come from somewhere.
Yes. Yeah?
I'm sure it would be just as true in real life. How are you going to get back out? And what if you fall into lava?
Well, the lava bit's more likely to happen in Minecraft, but yeah, having trouble getting out
I
is
don't
a bit
know,
of a
Pine. I've been
problem.
in the flaming deeps. Like, imagine if you were
Oh,
digging straight down over that and you didn't notice, and you just, like, drop 50 feet into this pool of fire. Like, you can
I
argue
think
it's not
that,
lava, but I think it would be about the same result.
well, yeah, so seeing that dropping 50 feet onto just about anything is probably going to get, well, okay, except for the thing about being burnt to a crisp. But you're probably just as dead if you fell 50 feet on the solid rock.
Mental image of dwarves like creating holes and dropping like Wile E. Coyote with a saw.
I mean, they could, like, dig straight down into a flaming pit, too, and not drop at all, and just suddenly have their feet on fire. That would be pretty bad. I'm just saying, there are lots of reasons for dwarves to not dig straight down, too.
Very well. I guess you've got a point there.
I
Anyone
have
else
to
have?
say, I'm sorry, Pineleaf. I guess it's my night to interrupt people. I'm so sorry. Go
I
ahead.
was just going to ask you if you had anything.
Just wanted to say I love that the forums kind of came out in full force for this one. There's some really great ones. One of them is I'm getting too old for this. Another is Toss Me as a reference to the movies. There's just a lot of really good ones.
I like a nail in the hand is worth 2 in the keg.
Yep.
Oh, well. But no one says, Baruch Kazad!
That was
Surprisingly,
further up.
no.
Oh, that was further up.
What Kazad I menu after?
Of course, you need a Kazad on it. Then let's head to the fan site news. Last week, we got a snack. Hear
That's one
about
way to put
Balrog.
it. That's one way to put it.
Yes,
You
and then
know,
they say,
sorry.
hear about Balrog bites over on their website. Yes.
I just thought of another old dwarf folk saying.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you holler yeet when you jump down a well. The old dwarf saying yeet.
I didn't realize yeet was Kujdual.
The translation got a little fudged over the years. Sort of like Old English to New English type stuff.
Sorry, Pine Leaf.
Oh, well. Learning LOTRO writes about Grid Big. You can read more in this guide for newer players over in the Gamer Reverie blog. Cosmetic LOTRO has a golden bloom, and you can check out Jaime's newest outfit over on the blog. Isn't that something that we
Yeah, that was one
checked
that
out
we
last week? Yes.
we had mentioned. Terry had mentioned last week, which is
Mhm.
when I was teasing her about Who are you and what have you done with Terry? Because it's yellow.
Yeah. Apparently, a very subtly different shade of yellow is.
It still looks yellow to me.
um,
Sure. Whatever
uh,
your husband says, we'll go with it.
uh, then, Bloodborne has created a video looking at landscape difficulty on Bull Roar. So if you are interested in what could be coming up on the new legendary server for landscape difficulty, you could check out that video. Also on Twitch, Mr. Cortex chills with a French language stream. Sluggeth puts Orc on the menu, and Professor Teacher G goes on a mission. And over on YouTube, Manapods heads into Moria. Renfail makes bacon marmalade in real life, and Dharma Dude heads into Bree.
Not to be creepy, but where does Renfell live? I'll try bacon marmalade.
Maybe you should just email for the recipe or something like that.
Well, maybe they show you how on the YouTube.
Yep, that's what the video is, I think.
Yes. Oh, yes. That's a. I don't know. I just can't imagine bacon marmalade. Right. And Possum Catastrophe goes through their mount collections, and you see the mount variety over in YouTube. Oh, my goodness gracious. And just remember, once again, Update 30 Blood Vows Like is on track to release next week. And they'll have information, including downtime and release notes, will be coming up sometime next week. And Staying Stone Games is looking for a senior character artist for both of their games. So if you're interested in working for Staying Stone Games, you could check out the job description over at Daybreak Careers page. Now for our screenshot of the week. Rukagorn runs the adventures of Floyd and DeWitt. Thanks for sending this pretty screenshot. You can submit your screenshot by emailing to lotro@sandstonegames.com. That is it for Beacon issue 207.
Oh, that last one's Floyd and DeWitt in Aragian.
Yeah, it's a great shot.
Then let's head into our store sales. Anyone interested in telling us what's on sale this week?
Sure. Now through June 10th, the weekly coupon will get you 25 times of each color of dwarf candle. I'm sure Terry Edwin would love it if you run into her and you throw one down. Coupon code SHINE, SHINE. Also, she probably really wouldn't, but it would get it out of your inventory. So feel free to just throw them around. 25 times each dwarf color candle. Store sales. You can start a new journey now through June 10th. 20% off character slots. They won't let me get any more, though. Vet status. Stat packages. XP boosts now through June 10th. Get your new journey going.
Whee! Haha!
Kind of like the dwarf candle one for the simple fact that it is basically rainbow color and it was the beginning of Pride Month, so.
Oh, that's true.
Those are great for concerts.
I wish there was like a carry-all bag for dwarf candles, though.
That would be
We
great.
keep giving them like that. Yes, definitely.
And over in the site news, Squirrel examines how to start an instance. Now, you may be thinking, why in the world would someone need to look into starting an instance? He's actually more talking about resetting an instance. For example, there's some reason you want to rerun an instance that you have that maybe you got stuck with a bug or something like that, and you decided you didn't want to wait for the GMs, then and instead decided to reset the instance, or if you did something really crazy. I mean, I'm sure we've all done something crazy in an instance that, yeah, oh well, that's not going to happen now. Then
Well,
you might be
sometimes you don't
wanting
even have to do something crazy. Sometimes some random mob will like come charging at you and then get stuck halfway up the wall and anti-exploited and won't come down and you can't progress.
well,
Not that
yeah,
we
that
held up a
happens.
whole raid for that for like 2 hours once or anything.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's a problem with the anti-exploit system needs some tweaks, but I have a feeling that the code for anti-exploit mode is so deep and twisted into the code right now that it's sort of something that changing
Fair.
it is not for the faint-hearted, I
And it was
suspect.
funny. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that was really funny. And we had a lot of fun with it. But that might be something that would happen that's not necessarily player error that makes it so that you need to reset the instance. That was all.
Yes. Now, some of the things he recommends, for example, is maybe making a slight tweak to the instance. This is actually something that I was doing back when I was testing some stuff where I didn't want to finish the instance and you wanted to rerun it. And back when doing it with skirmishes or something like this, of course, you just tweak it, maybe raise it by a level, lower it by a level, or something like that. And therefore, it's a different instance because if you didn't finish the instance and you don't wait long enough, then if you try to re-enter it, it plops you into the same instance you were in before rather than going around in there. So one of the things that you could do then is maybe change the level or change the tier or something like that. Changing the leadership. Well, since I don't do too many group instances and on most of those occasions we're usually not worried about resetting the instance. That's something I've never personally tested myself. But I have done changing the tier or the level on occasions in there.
Disbanding and reforming works too.
Expanding and reforming, yes, that's another system that they use on there. Now, there is a warning on there if you go around doing things like this, and that is that there is a limit of 10 instances per hour. And that means that if you go around doing this, trying to reset an instance constantly, then you can maybe find yourself running into this. Now, people who run missions and do missions pretty quickly, of course, have been running into this just by doing many rapid missions. Because I know Terry Adwin could zip through a mission pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, you can get locked out easy before you can finish your missions for the day.
Yeah, I think I have never run into it, but I know there are a lot of players who run through things a lot faster than I do. Now, there is on top of that, okay, maybe it's time. Maybe if you run into that maybe it's time to take a break and then come back at the start of the next hour or something like that.
It actually doesn't take that long because each one counts down for an hour. And
Right,
so, say you ran them all in 50 minutes, then in 10 minutes, you'll have a new one.
right,
So, usually, if I hit the 10-minute, it's like 3 minutes till the next instance I can load. So, um, it's not always a whole hour that you have to wait. You have to wait until it's been an hour from the first one that you launched.
right. That's why I was thinking, yes, taking a 10-minute break might be able to resolve that. Now, another thing, though, he noted is that there is also something that probably not too many people have run into, a 100 instance per day limit. Actually, I never knew about this one before.
I have not hit that one yet.
Yeah, and that's because how often is someone going to be trying to run 100 instances? Because not too people are going. Well, actually, you can't run 100
I
missions
mean,
in a day.
there are easier ways to level.
Yeah, there are easier ways to level. I think is a good way of putting that.
By about 20 instances, I am completely done, no matter how fun they were or how fast. So
Yeah,
by
I
10,
think
it's
that's
pushing
pretty
it.
much so I think that's pretty much why not too many people have run into that 100 limit. And I have a feeling I can only think that the only reason Squirrel has found this out is because he was trying to see if there was a limit or something like that. He said before update 28, this was only an issue with farming and stuff like that. But as you could see that these days with missions,
And the
him running to that
bounties.
10. Hmm?
And the bounties, like at, is it Limlock? That you can just run in and run through. Those count too.
Oh, I didn't think about those.
Yeah, I think they're called bounties, but you run through them and they still count against your instances.
All right, that's another case on there.
When the hunter and captain were doing that, they were doing the War of the Three Peaks, but we would be doing the Limlock dailies still, and we would run into the 10 within an hour's time problem. So I think
Yep.
it could be pretty easy to do.
Yes. So that was Squirrel's little advice relating to instances and resetting them, and a reminder that there's a limit to how many instances you could do in an hour. With that done, let us head into our weekend gaming. And Arendis, what were you up to?
Not much, I'm afraid, due to a bunch of real life stuff. The only thing that I was really able to get up to this week was to participate in a Civ 6 game. But hopefully next week will be a little less hectic and I'll have more to talk about. Quare, how was your week?
No, fairly busy on the gaming side. Girls of Middle Earth, we finally got Heistja, her Mickle Delving, and Bree return skills. Mostly by running through the Barrow Downs and ignoring Lalia. I mean, totally ignoring her. We didn't like set her loose and let her find her own fate or anything like that. But yeah, running around killing lots of spiders. Spiders. I can't believe that Sans is like, hey, let's go do this, and we should go here. But with the Mickle Delving, she had to have a bunch of spiders,
I was
for
gonna say that
enmity
was
and
all because Mickle Delving requires spiders.
and she needed Bree still. So there's lots of spiders in the Barrow Downs, in various barrows. So yeah, we got her return skills for both of them, and then we decided that strange cheese in our bag needed to be eaten. So there we are at South Breeze saying, okay, let's go to the Wildwood to do questing. And I had 3 pieces of barrow brie in my level 53 Hobbit Hunter's bag. Or not Hunter, Hobbit Burglar's bag. So I get the Stable Master up where I can just click on and buy the ride. And I start eating my cheese. Of course, there's a cooldown between each of them before you can eat the next one. So it starts ticking away, and it does 2. So by the time I eat the third one and I pay for my ride, I get not even 10 foot out of the door for Westbury Gate and died. And it went from there. There was a kind of Keystone Cops moment when Heistia was having a little bit of problems with not being able to figure out where Trestlebridge was and panicked and just started running and actually made it farther than the than Sans and I did because she didn't buy the ride. She only got 1 piece eaten though. Don't think we haven't forgotten that, Heistia. In ESO, the Shiny Duo have discovered that public dungeons can be cleared as a pair, and this is a good thing. So I foresee a lot more of doing that in the future. And we've also been working on Cadwell Silver. 2, which is basically we finished our alliance quest, we finished Cold Harbor. If you talk to Cadwell afterwards, he's like, you should understand how the other halves or thirds, I should say, live. And they sent us to the Aldmeri Dominion, which I love Canarthy's Roost. I really don't like the High Elves, so I'm just kind of like, let's just keep going. We got to get this done.
What's that? Yeah, because
Queen Irene is the best of all of them. That's saying something.
That's the thing.
She's traveled.
Yes, Queen Irene is between Queen Irene and Kaz are the only two.
Oh, Roz.
Yes, Roz.
Yes, Roz is awesome. Also in ESO, I have a second character has made it to champion level this week, doing the Green Marrow Dolmen in Deshawn when I was with Sans, who was doing some crafting surveys, and we heard the Dolmen's like, "You want to do it?" And we just went running for it, and I dinged over while I was fighting that. So my Nightblade, my Stamina Nightblade, my first character I rolled is now champion level 2, which means more points for everybody on my account. Which helps with the 2 new characters I made later in the week.
Yay!
By the way, playing Magic at Dragon Knight's really fun. Sans, what did you get up to this week?
Well, this week I also went rep gathering with the girls of Middle-earth and ate 2 pieces of Barrow Brie on the way back to Trestlebridge before buying my stable ride. And I got a little bit further than Claire, and not nearly as far as Heistia, who was running after eating 1. Yeah, I was hoping that I was going to last a little bit longer at level 53, but nope. I made it just around the corner towards the red circle, coming out of Whispery. So, that was pretty fun. And finished the main Wildwood storylines on Tuesday night, and Terry's elf eyes were pretty amazing. Like, tracking those tracks and, like, knowing exactly where they were headed. I mean, okay, the tracks just told us where they were headed, which is, like, impossible to know from there. But then she discovered she actually didn't have elf eyes because she was on a human. So, it got a little bit problematic from there. I think maybe she threw them, like, down the road, and that's how she could see around the corner. But,
She was hiding a spyglass in her backpack.
Oh, clearly. It was an elven spyglass. Like, so that humans could share... I don't know. It was pretty incredible. She either saw straight through solid rock or around a corner. That was a long ways away. So, yeah. But it was pretty cool, and we got it finished up. And then ran around Evendom with the field trip and cleared out some ruins and killed lots of things. But did not find any boar. Parchopley was sad. And then in ESO, I finished leveling the Mages Guild for the first time. And I'm almost done with the Fighters Guild line. And worked on some scrying and some low-key questing. And yeah, it was pretty fun. What were you up to this week, Pine?
And I'll begin with my main... Actually, not my main warden. It was my honor warden. I'm talking about my honor warden visited several ranger refuges over in northern Ithilien. Hinethanoon, of course, which is the active one. I also visited all the old ones to find out what was going on in there. And I also helped Gimli as we quietly participated in an ambush. Kasad Hanemenu.
Kasad.
Yes. Then, over in the field trip, my hunter earned a port to Tenedir. That means we're ready to finish up there, right? Fortunately, not quite yet.
You successfully proved you weren't a burglar, though, so that was pretty good.
Yeah, I guess you get a point there. And then, in ESO, I prevented the merging of planes twice. That's right. First, I prevented the merging of planes in Cold Harbor, and then I had to do it again in the Deadlands. So finally, I've got my soul back. I finished up Cold. Well, okay. I was not completionist in Cold Harbor, but I finished the main quest line in Cold Harbor.
Nice
and
work, Pine.
finished.
I think there's still three side bosses we haven't killed in the dungeon in Cold Harbor. So
Yeah.
if the shiny duo and Terry go, we'll see if you're on too, and
All right.
we'll
Yeah,
go.
because I haven't done most of the delves yet. Because I know Terry's done all the delves because she says she has all the sky shards.
I haven't yet
But
either, Pine.
yeah, I haven't because I was focused on finishing up that like especially since I wanted to finish up Cold Harbor before the release of Blackwood so that I could have that all finished up in there. And then that way when Blackwood came out, I was then able to run the Blackwood storyline, which I had a lot of fun with that. Well, seeing how I finished it in finished it in less than a week. Shows you I was really liking playing that quite a bit. Met some interesting characters in there. Has anyone started Blackwood yet?
Nope.
I'll take that as a no.
No,
Not
not
yet.
yet.
Nope.
All right. Yeah, so I was having play right, so I was doing quite a bit in there. I got my companion.
Which companion did you get, Pine?
I have the mage
Bastion?
Bastion. Yes, Bastion. That's his name. Yeah, yes. I'm using Bastion. I have not got to the. I have not visited the quest because while I've done the main quest, I've finished most of the side quests in Blackwood. I think there are a couple of side quests I still miss, and I still haven't done the one that unlocks the other companion. And I think I'm more likely to get along with Bastion than the other one because Bastion, he doesn't think like things like stealing and killing of innocents, which we're talking about Pine Leaf here. It's like, right, those are the things I don't do anyway. So
Oh,
those
I
are the
thought I
things he
read
does.
that Miri doesn't like killing innocents either.
Well, she doesn't like killing of innocents, but she doesn't mind. Okay, she doesn't mind stealing. What she does hate, though, is she hates the catching of insects.
Interesting.
Yeah, if you catch a torch bug, makes you mad.
Yeah. So, and remember, was it a couple weeks ago where I was talking about going into the Reach and collecting butterflies? So you can imagine if I did that with her in tow, She also hates harbors, for some reason.
Interesting.
But anyway, now she does like antiquities. So that's the one plus on being with her is that she does like antiquities, which means that I'm more likely to be able to have her on the happy side to make her happy because you know how I go around looking for antiquities all the time.
I'm not sure how you go about getting the skill lines unlocked for your characters, but from what I understand, Bastion loves it when you read books, and we were talking about the Mages Guild
Yeah.
leveling before you you and I were talking about it particularly before we went live, and yeah, Bastion would love it if you took him and read books, I'm sure.
Oh yes, yes. Actually, I believe they both like books.
Cool.
Yeah. So, but yes, Bastion very does. He's already commented on that on liking books and the like. So yes, books are a good way to make him happy, and he also likes it if you collect runestones. So, which I've been doing anyway. Just don't collect anything from a thieves trove near him. Apparently. So that's the that's the thing. So I was having a lot of fun trying to work with him and trying to learn that system. I finished most of the quests in the area, the including, of course, another encounter with Lady Laurent and Stibbons.
No.
Right, what's a new zone without them?
After all the trouble I bailed Stibbins out of in Cold Harbor, oh,
Hey, look, actually, what you do for him in Cold Harbor is nothing compared to what you have to do to him in what you have to do for him in Blackwood. In
Don't spoil
Blackwood,
it. Don't spoil it.
yeah, I better not spoil it in there, but just make sure you have time before you do it. It's not a 5-minute quest, I can tell you that for sure. And that's my week in gaming. Our top supporter this month is LOTRObuild.com. LOTRObuild.com is a collection of full LOTRO database, which includes an items database, a relics database, and a titles database. Also, you can use it right from your Discord server with a LOTRO Build bot. We currently have 17 supporters on Patreon, and if you'd like to join this illustrious rate of players and help support LOTRO players, you can go to the donations page. We can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. Your money would be used for podcast hosting, website hosting, and to pay for our live shows. We did not receive any emails this week, but if you'd like to send us one, you can send it to podcast@luchaplayers.com. You can also follow us on Twitter. The Players Alliance at Players Alliance, Lucha Players at Lucha Players, Arendis at Arendis, Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles, Sanswinda at Sanswinda, Terryadwin at Terryadwin, Guarendis at Guarendis, and Calabathian at Calabathian. The Players Alliance has 2 shows. On Wednesdays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News, and on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Lucha Players News. Give us choice for our live shows at luchaplayers.com/live. And that's all for tonight. And this is Pilot Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.